Hi, Linda here again. Today I want to talk about something a little bit more serious than I normally do. Um, it's a little bit of a downer. I know I like to keep positive, but this subject just keeps coming up to me lately, and it it really makes me wonder. It's one of those things that makes me happy that I'm at the latter part of my life than at the beginning of it, because this world, I just don't know where it's going, and something tells me I don't want to be here when it does. Um, anyway, to start, it's mostly about homelessness. I've recently there have been a lot of articles about my local public library. They're allowing the homeless people to come in during the day, during business hours, to hang out, use the bathroom, the computers, just hang out, whatever they want to do. And most people have been for it and saying good things, saying they're glad that it's happening. But there are others that are naysayers saying they don't like it. I, th- I think it's a good thing because it's a public library. It should be free to anybody who wants to use it, whether they're homeless or not. What's the difference? I know a lot of people just think of the homeless, oh, they're dirty people, they're drug addicts and whatever, but they aren't all, especially in this day and age. I'm hearing lately so many people are just like, there are a lot of people that are working that are going homeless simply because their apartment rents and stuff go up so high and there's no way they can afford it. A lot of that, from what I can gather, is due to private equity buying out apartment complexes and mobile home parks and stuff like that. And then they buy out these people, the complexes and all, and then they raise the rent really high for who knows what reason, just to make money, which is what they do. And a lot of people just can't afford the new rents. This sort of could affect me, so it's sort of like, because they are doing manufactured home parks, mobile home parks they're buying out, and it's like I live in a mobile home park, mainly because it's cheaper here. It's cheaper to buy a mobile home than an actual house. I don't think I would have been able to afford an actual house. So I live here and I like it, but it does worry me. What would happen if a private equity firm came in and raised the rent like super high, so it made it a little bit harder to live here? I'm lucky. Not only do I have Social Security, but I have some money saved due to an inheritance from my parents, but it's still not that much money. I still have to watch my spending to an extent because I don't know how long I'm going to live. If I die earlier rather than later, I'm fine with money, but I don't know. And who knows what the future holds? I could wind up with a bigger medical expense or something happens. I don't know. But it does worry me. What would happen if that happened here? All my neighbors are pretty much on fixed incomes too. I can't imagine they'd be able to afford rent that went sky high. As an example, I know when I lived down in Bucks County, I moved down there in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, this is. I moved out of there in 2017. And when I left, my one-bedroom apartment was $925. By 2021, which was just, 4 years later, I had looked that apartment complex up online, and that same apartment was $1,750. To this day, it's even higher than that. I think it's like $1,850 last I looked, and it's like, oh my gosh. If I had stayed down there, I'm still working down there, I would have never been able to afford an increase like that. And in fact, I was looking at all the apartments in that area that I knew of, and the cheapest one I could find was about $950. That was for like it was a little over 300 square foot studio. I'm like, I'm so glad. At the time, I didn't like losing my job, but in some ways, I'm glad I did lose my job when I did, and I felt the Lord like pushing me up here to be near my mom and my sister, as my mom was on her way, getting worse with the COPD. And I'm so glad that the Lord did that to me, because I don't know what I would have done if I still had that job that I really liked and the rent started going that high. I don't, I would have, what would I have been down back in a 300 square foot studio? It's like, I don't know, because I had a middle of the road job. I never made lots of money. But I made enough to survive. I could afford a small apartment and a car and, and food, and managed to pay my expenses and still have a little bit of savings. But nowadays, people are finding out that the apartments are going sky high. It's like, and wages aren't really that much higher, at least not for like the lower middle class or middle class. I mean, I don't know what's happening, but so many people are going homeless. I'm even seeing this on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and they keep showing me these people that are now living in their car or their van because they just couldn't afford the rent, and they're working. They're working people. They got decent jobs, and maybe they're not high level managerial where they're making tons of money, but still they're making the sort of jobs where you should be able to afford an apartment, somewhere to live. A lot of these people just said, forget it. They can't do it anymore, so they're living out of their car or their van. That makes me sad, and it just makes me wonder what's going on with this world. What's going to happen as time goes on? Is it going to get worse and worse, or what are they going to do? I mean, people aren't going to be able to can't afford an apartment to live in. I mean, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I just get really worried about the generations coming up. I don't know, but I'm glad that's why I say I'm glad I'm on the latter part of my life rather than the beginning, because I don't know, what does one do when things like this happen? I mean, there's a lot of movements lately for more affordable housing. You got all these tiny house developments coming in, at least in the states that allow it. A lot of states have regulations that they don't. Zoning doesn't allow tiny home villages or even mobile home parks like mine, But even still, private equity is buying up some of them and raising the rents. So it's sort of like, you can't even rely on that for affordable housing, Got to have your own piece of land. And most states won't allow you to put a tiny home on your piece of land, which is kind of sad. So what do people do? They go live in their car and their van. And I just hate seeing this. I really do. But you do what you got to do. But something has to give, because we can't have so many people homeless. I mean, I live in a semi-rural area. I mean, I think of more homeless in the urban areas, near the big cities, but out here there's even a lot of homeless. And yes, some of them are addicts and stuff. In fact, I've seen pictures of the woods near here where there was like a homeless encampment there, and they left all this trash and used syringes and stuff, and that's not good. But this area does have a lot of AA meetings and NA meetings. They do have a lot of recovery resources for those that want to recover, but not everybody's at that point yet. But anyway, I feel bad. I especially feel bad for the homeless people who are actually working and just cannot afford the apartments. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, this is just my viewpoint. I was just thinking about this a lot lately because it's just being showed to me over and over again. I mean, I'm even seeing a lot of people moving to different countries where it's cheaper to live. If you have an online job where you don't need to be in one spot, a lot of people are going to Vietnam or Thailand or the Philippines, Panama, places like that where it's a whole lot cheaper living. They're saying they have no problems living on $2,000 a month for everything. And I don't have the guts to do that. It sounds nice in some ways because some of those countries look really nice. And it would be nice to be able to live and not worry about bills. But I know I'd never have the guts to do it. I don't really need to at this point. But I do. I really wonder what's going to happen with this country if something doesn't get done for housing. for just the regular guy, the regular working people out here. Anyway, if you want, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I don't know, do you have any ideas? Anyway, till next time, bye.